Yeah, and there's quite a few people waiting in here. Cool.
Let's go pour myself a damn drink.
We're drinking? I don't know we're drinking.
Dude, I feel like at this point, like every day I'm like, oh, let's just see how much earlier I can actually open a beer because I'm so bored.
Cool.
Like I'm done trading every day, like around 10:30, and I swear it's like I have to like really talk myself down from just like, well, what the fuck else am I doing today? I can't drive, I can't do anything. What's next for me?
Exactly. I started my camera. I don't know if you have a camera, but you're welcome to turn it on if you like.
Let's see. I got you.
There we go. That one.
Turn all that shit on.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah, put my setup, prop it up for it. There we go.
Cool, bro. What up, everyone? Let me see here. All right, cool. We're welcome to the Sunday Stockcast. We're running a little bit late today. I was just explaining to James that me personally, I think a lot of people actually that are traders, part of the reason we like trading is because it keeps our mind occupied, and it gives us it's not easy, it's a constant challenge, and it occupies our brains. And for me, like I've dealt with depression, anxiety, things like that. I did some time in jail, in prison too, so being locked up is not good for me, no bueno. So I actually had to get out. So tickets to Dallas were $70 round trip. So I went and grabbed In-N-Out for lunch, and I came back. So I was running a little bit late. I apologize, guys, but definitely welcome. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We have new guests. Try to have someone new as much as I can, but eventually I'm going to run out of guests if I do one every week. So I'm trying to not do the wear it out. Cool. How come I have someone from Zoom supporting me? That's weird. What's up,
I was gonna say,
you know where you at? Shoot you through the Zoom. Bring my AR out. Anyways.
I'm coming back. It's because my watch just finished charging. Let me just throw this shit on. I was gonna say the next step for you is gonna be doing some group things. You have to get a few traders in here and have a whole freaking Sunday chat.
That would be awesome, man. I've talked about it. So I wanted to do. I don't know if you've seen where me and Smash did a thing. And then
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so we talked about doing one, all three of us, one day, and I would like to live trade with someone.
That would be very cool for sure.
With some different people and stuff, because then, everyone from my area and then everyone from everyone else will get like a different perspective, and I don't see the way that you see it, and I think that would be really cool.
Definitely for sure. I think a lot of people are always looking for like live trading. I think they think it's so like, and I think in the moment, it's easy obviously to explain, trades like hindsight, and like obviously like I'm just looking at charts now and like so easy to go over things, but in the moment, like it's just so much cleaner and so much more like real thoughts that can kind of go into place, and I think it's easier for people to learn from.
Exactly. And then I think a thing for me is that like the emotion part, right? Like I still like cheer on my trades and whatever, like get excited and stuff. So like but then like I because I self-talk myself a lot in my trades, and I'm like, okay, like chill out, and so I think it's real when you can see the emotional part in it, in that part too. So
for sure, man. For sure. So, I mean, for me, like, dude, when I'm trading, like when I'm just talking to myself, like, I don't care like how long you've been doing it. Like my system it's robotic. Like my entries and exits are robotic and everything. But once you start, I don't want to say sizing, but once you start trading bigger and bigger, like trying to create yourself and keep yourself in a calm state to like hold for a position or hold for a price target or any of that, like, dude, that's some real shit. That's real emotion that you have to fight for.
Exactly. So like that happens to me a lot, especially with like the options, because most of the time I'm entering on the ask, right? So I'm already have a drawdown by the time I get in the trade. And so then when I start getting in the money, then I'm like, okay, cool, finally, like I'm it's a little bit of sign of relief.
For sure. So I mean, it's same thing with short. I mean, I don't do options. I really have no experience there. It's something I'd like to do in the future, but like my experience is in shorting, and sometimes when you're scaling into a position, and even if it's a planned scale, like it's less, there's no fear because it's planned, but you're still thinking like, shit, man, I'm still down, as it's scaling, as the price is going higher into your orders, and So it's, you know, it's very real. I think that emotion's very real. So and it's hard to reenact that when you're just going over it in a video, you know, just going over your trades or anything.
Exactly. Like I feel like I'm really monotone when I'm explaining stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, afterwards I'm like, and then I
But in
get this, and
reality, you're
then
jumping up and down, you're shitting your
exactly,
pants.
and I just like a big old like monotone, you know, run on sentence the way I talk.
Yeah.
So
Like I'm just looking at a chart from last week, and it's ASTC, and when it had an offering, I'm like just thinking like how I would explain that if I was in the trade. I'd be like, oh, I just covered whatever. But in reality, I'm probably like, oh fuck, like just screaming, jumping, like doing whatever. So it's very true. I think that'd be
exactly.
fun. Maybe that'd be cool for you.
Cool, man. Well, I wanted to have you on because I you know I follow you on Twitter, and I keep track of your training, and you're becoming quite the badass over there with MIC, right? And
Hey,
you know,
thank you, man.
you always have a positive attitude too. You're always helping everyone out and everything, and you know, trying to share experience with people. So and the other part is that like you're very entrepreneurial. You own like some businesses and stuff, and
Yeah,
you're what, like 21, 22, right?
I'm 25. I'm a little bit older.
25, 25.
I
Oh,
wish I was
maybe.
21, man. Jeez.
Well,
I
still,
would
even
restart
that
this
though.
whole thing.
Exactly.
It'd be a lot better, but yeah. So I have my own business. I own 3 barbershops, and I've had this since I was 18. So it's been a very steady income for me, and steady business, and it definitely helped propel me into I think profitable trading because it had less of an impact on the stress to make money in the immediate, you know. So and
Yeah.
it's, you know,
So
as far as the positivity, man, like all I try to do is like I wouldn't be like half the trader I was today if I didn't just reach out to some of these guys and get help. And I just try to be that for other people because I know this is freaking hard, like being a profitable trader and like trading well. So I do my best to help out and just hopefully pay it forward and keep going from there.
yeah, so that was my thing is I bugged everyone that I could, you
Yeah.
know, everyone that would answer my DMs, and everyone, you know, that I would ask questions to. And I'm
Yep.
super appreciative to everyone that gave me input and stuff. And that's how I was when I joined, you know, some of the chat rooms, you know, that I was in.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
who's the biggest, baddest motherfucking trader in here? And then they make my friend. And you know, and if it wasn't for their input, like I don't think I would have, the learning curve would have been a lot steeper, right?
Yeah,
So
dude, for sure. My dad gave me, so I was like an athlete growing up. Like I played baseball, basketball, rugby, like a lot of different sports. And my dad is someone who always kind of like influenced my like workouts and like, you know, just sports in general. And he always would tell me that you find the best player in the gym and you step on his toes and you try to figure out what he's doing. And whether that means competing with him, you know, becoming friends with him and figuring it out. Like, so I kind of took that same mentality you said kind of into trading, where I'd find the best trader I could who would kind of even give me the time of day and then try to emulate that,
exactly.
and learn from them and go from there. And it works in business, life, everything, man. I think that mentality works all over, you know?
Exactly. So yeah, so do you think so one of the things I wanted to ask you is because obviously, you know, like I kind of own, you know, my chat room and stuff,
Yeah.
which is, you know, kind of a sub business, and I have other things that I do.
Yeah,
Do
cool.
you think that someone is born entrepreneur, like a hustler, like to do those types of things, and or is born like a trader, like, or is it something that you're able to learn? Because I mean, very respectful. I've had a few traders come to me and they're like, "Hey, this just isn't for me." Like,
Yeah.
and I definitely, you know, respect it, and you know, because some people will continue to lose money for, you know, years, and before
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, like I can't do this." But do
Yeah.
you think it's an actual type of person, or that someone could actually learn it?
So for both of those, so to answer your first question, like as far as being entrepreneurial, I yes and no. I think people are born entrepreneurial. I think, you know, people are heavily influenced by their surroundings. So if you have family that is into being an entrepreneur, they have their own business, they've started something, I think that will weigh on you and kind of, you know, like transcribe into your life as you get older. You know, but I also think like you can be created into an entrepreneur by, you know, if you just are someone who through experiences get an idea, and then you find that you have a passion for this idea, you can become an entrepreneur from that by, you know, fighting for a business or fighting for a dream that you have. Um, so I think it goes both ways, like very much. But I do think entrepreneurs and trading, like people who do both, have a very um, a weird like synchronization because I think it's like a business is like a puzzle to me. Like when you're running your own business and you're operating, you're trying to get better. it's like a never ending puzzle. Like you can't figure it out. Like there's always going to be struggles, hardships, but also like really good times. So I think trading is the same idea where, you know, it's a puzzle. It's just something that no matter how good you are, no matter how profitable you are, there's always that impending, I could blow up, I could lose it all. And obviously we use stops, we use seatbelts to prevent that, but it's still there, you know. So I think those two things really coincide really well, because it's just something that keeps your brain moving and like keeps your brain like really the gears grinding and turning like every day. Like I know guys who run their own business, they don't sleep like more than 3 hours a night. You know, they eat, they breathe, they everything like their business. And I think traders have that same mentality on a lot of it.
So that's where like I agree with you 100%, because you make decisions, right? You make decisions fast, you know,
Yeah.
split second decisions, and then you risk manage from there, right? So like if you're marketing for your business, you know, for your barbershop or whatever, like you could have a campaign for your marketing that doesn't necessarily work, but you're going to cut your losses. You're going to, you know, have your stop loss, so to speak, for your business, where you're not going to keep throwing money at it if you're not getting customers through your door, right? So
yeah, for sure.
I think it does go hand in hand, and it's cool to see that with you, like because I mean, to be 18 and own a business, that's pretty cool, like to do that. And then and I think that it does put that, instill that, you know, risk management and decision making, you know, where this has adverse effects not just on you but other people, you know, are depending on it. I don't know if you have family, like a girlfriend or anything, but I do. I mean, I have a big ass child support payment, so I know.
Oh my God.
You know,
see, I'm trying to avoid that. I don't need the child support payment to influence my trading though. I have a girlfriend, but I have a family that I care very much for. I have a special needs sister that I like really have always planned on taking care of as I get older. And you know, my family's always been there for me, and they've, you know, so my goal, like, it's kind of how I got into trading, man, was I wanted to be able to do something and support my family the way they did as I was growing up. So yeah, so that stuff means a lot, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So how long have you been trading now, man? I think I remember you from, so like MIC came around a year or 3 years.
A year. It's been a year and a couple months.
Really? You're that new
Yeah,
to it?
dude. Yeah, a
I saw
year.
you.
August was a year.
August was a year, so damn, like a
Yeah.
year and a half then.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. And so like you went from so now you're consistently profitable?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, bro. Like that's pretty good. I got to give you.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I didn't mean to cut you off. Actually, keep going. Did you have any question from that, or
For what?
did you have a question for that? I thought you were keep
Oh
going.
no, no, no. I'm just like I'm just making sure, like, on your background, because I mean, like I said, I follow you and stuff, but like my time is so limited with everything I do. I'm just like, okay, cool. All right, he made a lot of money. Cool. Like, you know, just keep on scrolling, and you know that's pretty much it.
So I've been trading for almost 2 years now. I mean, the bulk of my trading career is with MIC. Like I was trading a few months before, but that was literally just like dipping my toes in because I had no idea like what the fuck I was doing. Like I was just, I didn't even know what shorting was yet. You know, I was just doing the same as usual, buying the breakouts, trying to buy dips, doing all that, and just never working out for me, right? So I've been around for like 2 years, just getting there. And yeah, it took about a year and a couple months to really like find that serious consistency. Like I was always, from the beginning, I've been very fortunate to learn from some good guys. So I've been making money for a while, but I still didn't have that 100%, that risk, not gonna say risk proof, but that risk averse process that was so formed that I could like rely on and trust. And about a year in to my trading career, I found like I was finding like consistent, sizable profits that started to like really add up, and I felt more in control of my trading itself.
So you being younger, right? So like being because I remember myself being and we might have two totally different personalities, but at 25, but no one could tell me anything. Like I was gonna do stuff my way, like, you know what I mean? And you know, I was just really, you know, hard headed, like, and obviously, you know, shit ton of testosterone, just, you know, doing, you know, crazy stuff. Like how do you, being younger, and like how do you deal with all of that, like being a young like a young man, and being like, because it's crazy to me to be like, okay, to have your head straight and be able to do something as hard as this as young as you are, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
and I think there's a lot of like new traders that are really young. I have a lot in my, few in my
yeah,
room.
dude, for sure. I mean, I have
So
a couple of friends of mine are young. Harry Haas, he's a good dude, man. He's like 20. Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to turn 21 so I can bring him out. I mean, so it's a tough question to be honest, because I do think being young, I've always said if I started trading at 18, I would have failed. And I feel that way because back then I was making decent money with my business, but I was reckless. Like I would go out to as anywhere I could get drinks, anywhere I could do anything. I go
see,
blow
that's what
my
I mean.
money,
Like I
right?
was at the strip club every weekend, like
Yeah,
blowing
I
my money.
know.
You know what I mean?
I know. So, and I've had all those times, and I love them, right? But I just kind of found that this is something, and I realized it early on. And again, you have to find the right mentor. You have to find people that are going to show you and explain this stuff to you. I think because it matters that if you want to be a successful trader, it like as cliche as it is, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. You have to kind of have that I want to say maturity. You have to be mature enough to understand that you can make a lot of money trading, but you can also lose everything. You can lose everything and more. But if you want a life of financial freedom and the ability to do whatever you want when you want, you have to have that discipline and that maturity. So even from this quote unquote young age, it's just like I knew I wanted to be successful at this and I wanted to make the kind of money I could, I had to come at this with a mindset of like, I need to be more mature and I need to understand the weight of what we're doing, how much money we're working with day in and day out, and how much you could really lose. So I think I just got that into my head so ingrained that as I traded and as I got bigger, like bigger size and stuff, like it just stuck with me. So I think that's kind of been necessary into like keeping myself grounded and all of that.
Yeah. So, and to your point, like one of the things I tell my traders is that it's better to be rich eventually than broke forever, right? So
Dude,
like,
for sure.
and because one of the biggest things is that you get these new traders that just want to hit things out the park. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I was that
200.
guy too.
Yeah,
Everybody
well,
is,
everyone is like everyone
Yeah.
wants to make money fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, of
And
course.
but they don't realize like if you're especially now in the these days now that we don't have commissions on a lot of brokers,
Yeah.
if you make 50 bucks, that's 50 bucks you didn't have, like, you know what I mean? And then
Dude,
you add that up every day.
yeah, dude. So I explain this to a lot of guys, like in MIC, like we do a lot of like trader calls. We talk with traders and if they're struggling or not, and I try to give my best advice, right? And a lot of people just see these profits that people are seeing, and the problem is they get intoxicated by it. They see someone making $700, they see someone making $10,000, and they think I need to make that now. But the problem with trading, and it sounds so, again, it's cliche because everybody in the past has said it, but we get so in our heads that like what we're doing is like we're not risking that much money. We're not, because if I lose $500, I just get up. I'm like, oh shit, whatever. You go to the next room and you get a drink and you're like, whatever, not a big deal. But like the longer you can stay grounded to the idea of money and like how far it really goes, I think the better off you're going to be in your career. Because like for me, like my best friends, they went to college for 4, 5, 6 years, depending on what their path was, and then they get out of college and they're making $500, $600, $700 a week after taxes, right? And there are mornings where I make $1,500 in 10 minutes or
Yeah.
less. I make $200 in 10 minutes, and then I see it and I'm like, and I get mad at myself. I could have made more, but when you stay grounded and you're like, wow, my best friends, my family, they go to work to make this in 40 hours, right? So the longer you can keep that mentality, I think the better off you have it being successful in trading, because it just keeps you level headed.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a really good thing to, especially when you're a beginner, is exactly like what you were saying, is to have that macro outlook of overall, not just today, like you have to win today, but
Yeah.
overall, like being profitable. And so like if you're hitting these base hits, like as a beginner, especially in options, it's pretty easy to make
Yeah.
50, $100 in a day. So especially with the volatility that we have right now,
For sure.
and
Yeah.
you pick your spots, it's pretty easy to make a buck on one contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and so, but then it's like, okay, like I can make another one. Like, let me take another one or whatever. But
Yeah.
there's 20 trading days in a month, and
Yeah.
you made $100 a day. That's $2,000. That that pays
Yeah.
your rent for sure in most places. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, dude,
so,
most of the guys I meet, right? Like most of the guys who want to get into trading, they're only making, I don't want to say only, but they're making like 50 to 70 grand a year, right? And I'm like, okay, well, if you want to make what you're making now, but with this financial freedom aspect, you just, you know, if you want to make 50 grand, you get, you know, make $1,000 a week or whatever, you know, that's 250 bucks a day, which I think is easily teachable to people. And it's like, that's not swinging for home runs. You're not trying to make 10 grand a day, you know, even $100 a day, 500 bucks a week. Like, it's all attainable if you, like you said, if you just have to stay kind of, you know, have that macro idea of like, in the long run, I want to make, well, I want wealth. I don't want $500 right now.
Exactly.
You know?
So that was a thing where like I thought like as being an educator, like after I got over PDT, when I had to rebuild this account, I don't know how much you know about what happened with me, but once I got over PDT again, I thought, oh, I have to compete with these other guys putting up 30-40 grand in a day, or, you know, whatever. And so I was like, okay, like, and my max size is 5 contracts, right? So and then but then I would see like other, you know, option traders, you know, doing a couple hundred contracts or whatever. Like, dude, like I could do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just use the same strategy and I go ahead and do more. I got my ass worked, like, and I lost like 10 grand. And so then my mentor, like, he's like, why you do, he's like, just run your own race. I don't know why you're competing with anyone else. You know, your home run should come from the volatility and the move and how big the move is, and not how big your sizing is into it. And so I still only play a max of 5 contracts or whatever, unless I'm swinging. So if I'm swinging and I could get like a big, like I could, you know, get a good position of, you know, bigger contracts, then I'll you know, I'll get more. But for like an intraday, the way that I trade is max 5 contracts. And I mean, if I get 5 contracts on a 60-point move, that's, you know, that's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good money for sure.
So,
for sure.
So that's a big thing that I think, you know, to your point and what you're saying is very important. But so if you could, so what do you think is the thing that helped you the most, you know, getting over your learning curve? Like let's talk more like your mindset and emotions and things like that, because man, I think everyone has the ability, and I think everyone that has tried trading has been able to extract money from the market at least once.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just being able to do it on a consistent basis and keep your money, right? And so maybe talk a little bit about that, like your what your clicking point was, and like you know, what's helped you with that kind of stuff.
Sure. So I would say my first of all, like I hate when traders think they can get into this without putting in like some serious work and like effort. And I actually just made a video for the MIC members today about this, talking about how, you know, you have to be honest with yourself at a point, like however far you are in. You know, I was at a point, it was like right when I joined MIC, and like I started to find some of these small time success, like doing a little bit better. But I had to kind of look at myself in the mirror and say, like, am I putting in the work that is necessary and that I could be doing? Like, you know, at the time I was watching videos, I was rewatching tape, you know, I was charting, like doing everything I could. But I had to really look at myself and say, like, am I doing everything? So, and I kind of told myself I wasn't. So from there, I just started 100%. I don't like the word really back testing, because it's just not how I'm a very discretionary trader. So I basically just chart. Like I just started diving into as many charts as possible, pattern recognition, learning what I could, studying volume, you know, like volume price analysis, like all that stuff. And really just putting in the work. Like that was the clicking moment for me, was when I just put my head down and just focused on, you know, I wanted to be profitable, and like really profitable. So I had to do it. The mentality wise, what really was the clicking fact for me to start making, like, I want to say good money, was that idea what we were just talking about, was that small consistent gains add up over time. And that's what leads to real wealth, and not P&L swings. Because I was always swinging for the fences. I was trying to trade big, you know, and in that I'd have a really big day, and then I'd have a really big losing day. So now, like, I've just put on every seatbelt I can, meaning hard stops, max daily loss, everything like that. So my max daily loss now is no more than a day's work, you know, whereas before in a more immature state, I would give back 5-6 days, maybe 2 weeks of work, you know, when I first started. So now it's like, I'm okay taking a loss, because I know in the long run, I can make that loss back in less than a day's work, or a day's work, or whatever. And those are the clicking moments when I just realized, like, the weight, again, like, what I hate to reiterate, but what we're doing, in that, you know, there's so much money to be made, but you'll never make it if you can't control your emotions. So I think that was pretty much the big change for me, was just grounding myself with the money, staying as humble as I can, and combating any ego that comes from any sort of short-term success.
I think that's a big point, is that you get to a point where you're like, you look at, because everyone kind of journals in their own type of way, whether it's, you annotate
Sure.
charts, use trader view, whatever.
Yep.
Everyone has their own way, and that's something I really enforce with, or try to encourage with my traders, is do it the way that is conducive to you, because the way I do it, it may not be the the right
Yeah.
the way that you do it. So I'm not going to force you to do it a certain way, but eventually you get having enough data to show that you know what you're doing, like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so and then eventually it's like, okay, like you get tired of your own bullshit. Like you get tired of your own bullshit, where it's like, okay, like I know how to do this, but are you going to do what it takes to be profitable doing this over and over, like on a consistent basis? And it's like, right, so the same thing, like you mentioned sports earlier, right? So like if you're trying to practice a backflip, eventually like you're going to be like, okay, like I'm going to use strict form, and do it correctly, or else like what am I just messing around for? And so and that's the point where it's like, okay, like I'm tired of the same excuses and bullshit story I'm telling myself. And then then it just kind of like, okay, like, and I think a lot of it, and it's like you kind of get like a trader swag too, like if you start hitting these consistent wins, even if they aren't big, you're like, okay, like I do know how to do this, and that confidence to continue to do it is absolutely huge. And so, and to your point, like what my same rule is also, my max loss on the day is what I can make in a day, because then I'm really 2 days behind, right?
Yep.
So if I lose if that's the max I could lose, then I don't care, like, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to take the loss to heart, and I'm able to move forward then at that point. So I think that's
it's
really
funny, right? It's funny because like I hit a point, like thinking about it, where like I kind of what you said kind of triggered this memory where like I knew what I was doing, right? Like I could look at a chart, I could tell you where the best entries and exits were, but I couldn't commit and do it. And I used to put this thing on my screen that it used to say, size up, don't be a pussy. And it was just saying that for the fact that like I basically was telling myself, like, you know what you're doing, like do it, And I had a good conversation with a trader on Twitter earlier, actually, who said, he can look at traders on Twitter, their charts and their trades, and say that he knows he can do that. He sees it, but he's getting FOMO and he's attacking earlier. And it's like, that maturity state, like that next level, comes from when you have a statistical edge and like, why would I not be attacking at the levels that will give me the best odds of success? And that's like a big aha moment in itself, is just realizing, like, dude, if I have an edge, like I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna attack when there's a greater odd of success for me to make money on this particular trade.
Yeah, that's something actually me and oh, now I'm gonna blank out and not know his name. Bao. Me and Bao had talked about. So me and Bao had talked about is affirmations while you're trading, right? So like just like you're saying, like you had the thing that popped up and said, "Don't be a pussy, like get in the trade," or whatever. Like I actually had on my phone, I had myself talking to myself. I recorded myself telling myself over and over again that I was the best trader in the world. And so like, and it just
I love that.
It pumps pumps you up, and like it gives you that confidence to like take trades. And I was actually talking about this with someone earlier, was that you could do anything. Like you really could do anything. Like I don't know if you follow David Goggins like on Instagram and stuff, but once you control that dialogue in your head, and then you're able to say like, no, like I'm in control here. You put away that little bitch voice that you have, and you're like, I'm in control. I'm not gonna do what you're telling me. You're gonna do what I'm telling you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once you get to that point,
sorry. I hear traders all the time, like saying like they enter a trade knowing that they could lose, right? But like to what you said, like I enter a trade actually with the idea that I know what I'm doing and I'm gonna be right and I'm gonna make money. But in the back of my head, I have my stops in place, like hard stops that will tell me if I lose, it's still okay. So like I kind of like what you're saying, is like your brain, like you can do whatever you want, and like that mental confidence, like that means a lot, I think, for traders. Like just getting into a trade with confidence, trading with confidence, like that will go a long way.
Yeah, so like just like I said, controlling that dialogue, because you have those like apprehensions where it's like you could lose money, like in the back of your head, like you have that where you think that, or this could happen and this could happen. But once you start controlling that dialogue where it's like, I know what I'm doing and I got this, like, you know what I mean? Like, know how to trade, and like, you just repeat that stuff over and over again. And so I actually power lift. I don't know if you go to the gym a lot, but I power lift. And that was a big thing, is that like so my biggest deadlift was 525, and I did it in a competition, and that was something that my coach always said, is that to visualize the lift, like imagine what the bar feels like, you imagine everything around you as much as you could comprehend, and then like when you manifest it, right, then it's going to come to be, because your brain already believes it. So if you're already believing and you're telling yourself you're in a profitable trade, and you believe in yourself, then it's going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like the law of attraction. If you're saying that you're going to lose, of course you're going to lose. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah. No, for sure. And again, it just comes with confidence. You know what you're doing. Like, I think that's the leap traders fail to make a lot of times, and that's what kind of stops them from jumping to the next level. It's just like they know what they're doing, but they're afraid, and they enter a trade scared. They enter the trade thinking they're going to lose, and like you said, if you kind of control the narrative, I think you'll see a very positive influence on your own trading.
Yeah. So your talk about your niche in the market, your edge.
Sure. So what I focus on is, look, most people in the world seems, but I'm primarily a short bias trader, and I focus on small caps. I like momentum stuff. I love the stocks that are gapping up on day one. And I'm pretty much 100% a technical based trader. I take fundamentals into account, but I try not to let it heavily bias my trading. Obviously, it's something I always am striving to be better on. But again, like my money is made in the first hour of the day. So I'm looking for the volatile plays, and I'm looking to take advantage of, small moves, but with good size. Yeah, that's pretty much my edge, man. Like small caps, anything with volume. And then my biggest thing is short selling, like low hanging fruit. So like I love the stocks that are kind of like day twos, day threes that people have forgotten about. And that's kind of where I've made a large chunk of my profits this past, I want to say year and a half.
So so one of my favorite guys that I ever traded with, I don't know if you know him, his name's Fateh.
Oh Jesus, dude, that dude's a killer. Yeah,
that's my homie, bro. That's the guy.
I don't know him personally, but I've seen his shit, man. He's a killer.
Yeah. So for him, he wouldn't even pull up a day one. Like he wouldn't even pull up a day one chart or anything like that. He would just write the name down, right? He'd write the ticker down, and then the next day, then he would open it and see where it was at. And so what that was a big thing was that, like, okay, you can't get FOMO if you don't have the chart up, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's not big on Twitter, like he's not very social and stuff.
Yep.
And so then you don't have like a bunch of noise in your ear telling you like, oh, it's running this much, and oh my god, and it's gonna get here. So then you just forget about it, and then you're basically trading a day behind everyone, because you're just doing what a day after what everyone else is. And the crazy thing was like he would even swing stuff, and it's like he's getting out like when everyone is already like moved on 2-3 days, like, you know what I mean? And and that was one of my biggest things. Like I would try to compete with them when I did small caps, was who could get the best exits, and we wouldn't tell each other, right? So we wouldn't tell each other, and I would be like, okay, I got out, and he's like, and then 2 days later he'd be like, okay, I got out, and I'm like,
dude, his exits are disgusting. I remember when I first started trading, actually I saw some of his charts, and I'd be like, this motherfucker can hold for so long. Like I'm in and out of trades pretty quickly, and I'm like, how does this dude do it? It's impressive. But he has such a good idea of that, because these low-hanging fruit plays, right? Like the best way I tell everybody is these day ones, right? There is a lot of money to be made on day ones, and of course I will play them every time they pop. But the thing is, even if you're using a daily level, right, there's so much that goes into it, right? Is there volume? Like, is there stuff is that daily level going to hold? Because that's not always going to happen, right? But I feel like on low-hanging fruits, especially for new traders, the levels are predetermined, because you saw on day one where exactly the stock failed to go. And that allows you to scale into a position using set resistance levels to short off of. And you can just have the confidence that it did fail those levels previously. So I've always thought it was one, the best place for beginner traders to start trading, but also a really great place for experienced traders to size in and take a huge advantage of low volatility, but still plenty of, plenty of the ability to get in and out if you needed to.
Yeah. So, and that's a big thing is I think, so like how you said, there's actual levels where you could see now, like even I think a lot of people take it for granted and underrate, like on the first day, to actually just watch the price action at certain levels. You know what I mean? And obviously it's hard not to trade. I understand, FOMO, whatever, but for you to actually understand the way that the price action reacted at those levels, and then to come back to it the next day and be like, I know that there's a seller sitting right there that, they don't want it to go above there. You know what I mean? And so, so that's a huge thing. Like on BPTH last year, it was last year, right? And so already it's been a year.
Yeah.
We got to a point where there was no more resistance, and I was long. Like I was long on it, and I was like, cool, I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? There's no more points of resistance that I could say, like, nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm safe. And one of my friends actually bought the top. He bought like 30 cents off the top, and he got margin called. He got stuck in the halts on the way down. So but I was like, I don't know why you're doing that. And but yeah, that to what you're saying is to be able to see the and the same thing happened to me with Tesla running up at the beginning of this year in like February or January. I was long, and I had been like 327.50. I was like, right here, boys, we're going long right here. When it dipped down, I was like, we're going as far as we could, and so I just kept on doing it. And then eventually we got to a point I was like, dude, there's no more levels. Like, what am I gonna do? So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. And then once it came back down, once it started like coming back down, I was like, okay, now I could actually buy puts because I know where it's gonna go ahead and come down to and stuff. So like you're saying, it's really invaluable to actually know the way the price action reacts at certain levels. But
I just think it's less emotional too. I mean, day ones, like my mentality on day ones is like it's a good mentality. I think it's tough to keep, but I'm waiting for the stock to top out and tank. When the stock tanks, everybody wants to hit the top, but the fact is it's so hard to do that. Like, and it takes the ability to take a lot of paper cuts and losses to guess the top. So I'm waiting for the stock to top out, tank, and I will short the bounce back towards a set level. But the problem is, even on day one, that level, I mean, you have trust in technical analysis, which I do, but you never know. That level could break, it could do whatever, and I just feel like on day twos, it's less emotional or day twos, threes, whatever, because your levels are set, you have preset orders. You don't even have to touch the keyboard if you don't want to. You just let it go. And you know how you will react as it reaches your levels because it'll fill your orders and you have your set levels to cover or whatever. So I just think it's a great place for all traders to kind of be, especially new guys who are looking for a little bit less volatility.
Yeah. What are you working on as a trader right now?
Right now, so I actually just had a great conversation with a trading coach. Her name's Kim Ann. She's on Twitter. She's great. So right now I am working on my biggest flaw I would find as a trader is that even if I make a good amount of money, right, I still feel like I understand how great the amount that I made is, and I'm happy with that. But it's hard for me to get over the idea that I could have made so much more. So now I'm focusing really hard on what I did. I followed my process. The profit that the process yielded, I need to live with that, and I need to be okay with that. If another trade pops up that kind of fits into my trading criteria, I'll take it, but I'm not going to press myself to make more just because I know in the back of my head I could have done better. That alongside as sometimes when I see a setup show up that I know 100% I recognize the pattern, but I find myself hesitant to enter at the size that I want to. And that's because I have a fear of, she calls it a fear of failure. Like I don't want to be wrong. So I have to kind of adjust myself to work on that. To that, if I am confident in a pattern that I see, I should be playing it, and I should be going into it with confidence. So a lot of my stuff that I'm working on now, as I'm 2 years in, is a lot of trader psychology. rather than sizing any of that. Because sizing, I'm slowly all the time. I have a system for sizing up. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my biggest focus right now, psychology.
So like just as far as being okay with trading your plan and not that you could have made more money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sticking to what your process gives you, and not trying to like force anything, because the amount of days where I look at my P&L and I'm up, I don't know, $1,600, and then I'm like, well, it's only another 400. I can make that, and I'll be up $2,000. And then the next thing I know, I'm up $900 because I just gave back, $700-800 worth of profits because I was just trying to get cute, because I felt I could have made more. So that's a big focus for myself in these coming times. And also, just another thing that I've kind of just remembered is the idea that day in and day out, I'm looking to make consistent good money and grow my bankroll. But the big money is going to come from the big wins. And that's something that Alex kind of gets, that 1809, he gets into my head all the time, that day in and day out, you're here, you're making good, consistent gains, and you're profitable and you're making money. But at the end of the day, those big days where your P&L is going to see those massive wins are on the big setups. For me, it's like the first red day setups, stuff like that. So that's where I'm shifting my focus into, having good, consistent regular days, and the bigger days taking that opportunity and really like sizing into the potential.
I think that's big. Like then that's one of my things is like, being able to seize an opportunity. So like I have my strategy, right? So my strategy
Yep.
for options is a lot more intraday. But now with like the Tesla trade that I had that was massive, and a few of my other swinging trades, like I'll just paper trade like the swinging trades. Like I'll literally just write it down because I can't paper trade options. And so I'll be like, okay, this would be my entry and my swing and whatever. And if I and I'll keep track of it, and I'm like, dude, like it would be so much money if I would have did that or whatever.
Yeah.
And so so my one of my things is that like is to look at these plans and these opportunities and being like, okay, like even though like I'm a little hesitant on it, like go ahead and seize the opportunity and go ahead and actually like we are just talking about, like not to be scared and actually do it. But it's new to us, right? It's still something that's new that we're still making an edge for ourselves in that in that type of niche or environment. And I think that's that is a big thing too. So for me is that when an opportunity presents itself like that, like actually one thing I wanted to talk about today is that, so I was waiting for Thursday, Friday for the spot to get up to 260, and so that was my point. I wanted it to get to 260 and then take puts into next week, or this next week, and then the plan worked perfect. It hit 261, and I was like, okay, like let me go ahead. Where's my puts at? Like, let me go ahead and start edging in. And they're freaking $80 a contract. I was like, dude, like I can't, like I had the plan perfect, like I'm ready, like and then I was like, they're just too expensive. I can't, like I'm not willing to risk that. So especially holding over the weekend and stuff. And so I was like, I'm just gonna let it go. And then all of a sudden the program turns on where it dropped what, $20 or something like that, 10, $20. I was like, oh my god. And then I'm looking at the features right now on my other screen right now. The features are open, and they open at like 245. So there's another $5. So we're gonna probably gap down tomorrow. I'm like, dude, my plan was perfect. Like, and so I definitely get where you're coming from. But so what's your biggest piece of advice that you give like your new traders and like other people like in MIC and stuff? Because you guys get you guys have a, like MSC has a lot more money than me to market, and I'm sure you guys get like really new traders that have never even seen a candle chart before in their life or anything like that, right?
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, we get a lot of new guys. I mean, our goal, whenever we get them, is to, as fast as we can, to get them from not knowing anything to placing their first trade, right? And I think we don't do a solid job, because my biggest piece of advice that I give people and traders in general that are just getting into this is to get into your head that what I said earlier, that this is a marathon, not a sprint. That you do not, if you think you're going to make $100,000 your first year trading, you're wrong. If you think you're going to make $1,000 a day in your first 2 years of trading, you might be wrong. Some people, of course, they get there faster, but you need to get that concept out of your head. And two, if you cannot be profitable with one share, or if you cannot trade well with one share, you're sure as fuck not going to be profitable or trade well with 100 shares, 1,000 shares, or 10,000 shares. There's a lot of guys I tell like it's stupid, and it's something I actually got from I believe it was S&P Capital. They when they started out, a few new traders, they started them out with one share, and people were getting pissed. They're like, how am I going to make any fucking money with one share? But it's true. I mean, if you could not, like, I know you guys see on DOS, right? You have the red arrows and the green arrows. And if you're a short seller with one share, you can't have the red arrow above your fucking green arrow, then dude, you're fucked. Then this isn't for you yet, or you're not there yet. You're not mentally ready. So that's my biggest piece, is that starting small, understanding sizing. You can learn how to size so fast, I think. Like, I think if you do it maturely and responsibly, sizing can go like so quickly. But, you know, start small, understand what you're doing, and then look to size up.
So that was a big thing too. So because I interviewed with 7 Points, and obviously I didn't go or whatever. Like, that was a big deal, and I take responsibility for my attitude for all that not working out. But like, no one could tell me anything during that time, and I apologize, you guys. If you guys are watching this, I apologize all those guys at 7 Points, because you guys are pretty awesome, and I respect you guys.
Some good dudes for sure.
And so that was one of my questions when I was getting interviewed and stuff. They asked me if I had questions, and I was like, well, how much money do I get to start with or whatever? And they said that my max money or whatever, or max loss was $100 or something. It was something to that effect. My memory sucks, dude. And so I'm like, bro, like, I can't have no drawdown with $100. Like, how am I gonna do this? You know what I mean? And so I was like, my strategy just doesn't allow that. Like, you know, like I, you know, usually have a drawdown, and, you know, then we get into the money, and they're like, no, $100 and that's it, you're done for the day. And I'm like, okay. But I think, like, when you put, you know, the rules on yourself, because I traded with SureTrader, right? So then there's a lot of rules for that. And you know, that kind of breeds, you know, different disciplines within yourself, you know, to because I still won't play with a small cap that's less than $3, but that was only a SureTrader rule. Like, you don't have margin under $3. So I had to, you know, now even still, that's instilled in me, and it keeps you safe. It keeps me safe though, because I mean, these, you know, like dollar tickers are just, you know, crazy sometimes. And
for sure, man.
So that's a big thing. But I think what you're saying is that for the new traders, the biggest thing is like just being like the whole macro, like, you know, just step back and look at everything as a whole. Like, and I think even for us, you know, being a little, like, you know, I'm not saying we're the best traders in the world or whatever, but, you know, for us to step back and see, like, look at your journey and see, like, this is where I came from and this is where I am now. Like, it's huge. Like, it's absolutely, and then you notice it a lot when you start explaining to someone newer, right? And you're like, well, I do know a thing or two about a thing or two, you know what I mean? So and so you don't realize how much knowledge you actually acquire through the experience of it. And it is definitely huge for a new trader to step back and actually just, you know, look at everything, right? And that, you know, if they you know, do take it serious. And so I locked myself in my house for a year to learn trading. Like, I watched tape, like, I didn't do nothing. I didn't go out with friends. I literally looked like a caveman for like a year and to learn how to trade. And I'm like, if you really want it, you'll do those things. Like, you know what I mean? You'll sit in the house and you'll do those things, like, instead of, you know, other things and stuff. And I think those are, you know, some of the best traders that actually just lock themselves up, and it would be like, okay, like, I'm going to get this and I, you know, as fast as you could. But do you want to share your screen and show us some tips or tricks or something you're looking at for the week?
Sure. Hang on. Let me get everything started back up. I actually just put it to sleep. Let me see. Let me open everything up for you guys. So, as like I was kind of mentioning before, my main watches are the low-hanging fruit. So pretty much as of tomorrow, right? So a lot of the guys in here, he'll trade all day. And at the end of every day, he puts his kind of watch list out. So I'll be watching stocks like, actually, let me just flip this so I can show you guys. So move some stuff around. Sorry. So also I just got the setups all nice and ready for the week. So pretty much like I said, I'll pull up tickers. Like again, I focus on small caps. So I'll be looking at stocks like BKYI. You know, granted, assuming it's all down here still. Just looking at the chart now, I mean, right? This is why I like low hanging fruit. This is why I love teaching this. I mean, if the stock gaps up and just stays around where it is $1, I want to see it push back to the levels that gave it the most trouble, right? So that's like this 150 area. VWAP is in the 180s, but really, we don't think it'll get there. Just this is quick eyeballing. I'd like to scale a pop back into the 150s, 160s, because this thing has plenty of range. I mean, it was a stock that gapped way up from below $1 all the way up to the high twos. So if we can get a push back into the mid ones, I think that'd be perfect. What's some of the other ones here? MFA was another one, the potential low hanging fruit. Gapped up pretty high in the morning, faded all day. You know, kind of I use pivots as well to kind of give me somewhat of an edge. So pretty much I'll be watching for, this is I think pretty clear to see, a gap towards the 2 level, 2, and yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty good considering supports back in the 170s, even lower, 150s. So yeah, I think around there, gap to 2, 220. All I'm using, guys, is basic support and resistance. I know it's hard to see sometimes, but I'm literally just drawing my lines at the levels of resistance that matter with volume, where the stock failed to push. And on low-hanging fruits, that's kind of where I'm looking to attack. So I'll pretty much just be watching a lot of anything that moved at the end of last week. So if anyone's watching, that's BKYI, MFA, LITB, INO, CAPR, BMRA, a lot of those ones. So pretty much anything that moved. And then obviously I'll take day ones into account, but my main focus will be all the low hangers going into the day.
So like you're the way that you trade, you watch tape a lot more, like you watch for your entries and things like that, or
yes and no. So tape for me, I think people get lost in the tape. I think people also think sometimes tape can be the holy grail into trading, and it's like that dictates our entries and exits, and it is important, don't get me wrong, but where I watch tape the most is at my desired levels. On day twos, I don't watch tape as much because I know the level's proven. Like to me, the stock has proven that those levels have given buyers trouble. So, but on day ones, on key levels of resistance, that's where I start to watch tape. I'm looking for sellers, looking for hidden sellers, all that stuff. And even then, I really rely on technicals, and tape is just kind of like a little extra into confirming my thesis on my trade.
So do you use any other technical indicators besides just support and resistance, or?
Just VWAP. I use intraday and VWAP, including pre-market. So I have both.
Okay.
That's it.
So like with where you're at right now, like are you okay with that being like your edge and your niche and the way that you trade, or do you want to like incorporate other things like into your trading?
Yeah, I mean, where I'm at right now, like I don't want to say like don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it, but like I like the way I trade now. Like I like trading off of technicals, support and resistance, volume. I think VWAP is, again, it's an indicator. It's not the holy grail, but it's a very good one for me. It gives me a very good confidence level on who's stuck, longs or shorts, or who's in control, I guess, or longs or shorts. Over time, who knows? Maybe things will develop, and as my game progresses, I'll look to add things. But I've tried a lot of indicators, and for me, it overcomplicates things. When at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of indicators are just boiled down to support and resistance levels. So I try not to overcomplicate it for myself, because that's just how my brain works. I want it to be as simplistic as possible, because I can follow that. When I start to overcomplicate it, then it just becomes a little much for me.
Well, so not so much like technical indicators, but like other strategies, right? So like maybe going long on low floats, or with high institutional ownership, or even options, or things like that. So because like one thing that me and Fate would always say is like, man, that we could be making money both ways. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's
Yeah,
so
for
much money to
sure.
be made on the long side too. And then when we started getting squeezed like really bad, you know, these algos started, you know, going crazy like a year and a half or so ago. I
Yep.
was like, okay, I'm gonna make a strategy to go long now because I'm getting tired of getting squeezed. And
Yeah.
I felt bad because I mean everyone in the room I was in was primarily short bias, and I'm like, oh, I'm still holding, guys. Like, you know, I went long, you know, I got out, you know, my short already. And so I felt bad,
Yeah.
but you know, I think and then the other part to that is that now that I play options, right? So like with
Yep.
the volatility that we have right now, it's very, very hard. You know, I need to wait until I get a trend and then join the trend, right? And
Yep.
so within the first, you know, couple minutes, I'll actually play a couple small caps before I
Yep.
get into my option trades. And so it
Hmm.
helps with that FOMO, like to have something else in your back pocket. So, but like,
Yeah.
are you okay with, you know, just with what you do, or did you, you know, do you want to like, you know, trade anything else or?
I mean, yeah, over time, I'd like to develop, other strategies as far as, trading even large caps. I like the idea of options. I think it's cool. I think there's a lot of money to be made. But the way I see it is I have an edge in what I'm doing, and I'm going to push that edge to the limit as far as I can with sizing, with everything. So when I push that edge to the very like brink of what I can do, then I'll bring it back to a comfort level, and then maybe I'll start expanding my comfort zones. Then maybe I'll start going long because obviously there's money to be made on both sides. But I feel like if you have an edge, your goal as a trader is to extract all the money you can from the market using that edge, and don't try to feel like you have to make every single dollar because that's very hard and there's not many people that can do that. So do your best to take your edge, utilize it for the best you can, and then once you hit that level, then maybe start to expand a little bit.
And then I think to that too, just real quick, is that like with me, like I said, I'm looking at, you know, these longer term option plays and things like, you know, especially now that the, you know, market is kind of
Yep.
low. I'm looking at like, okay, where can I start buying? You know what I mean, for these long term
Yep.
things, and get some other strategies. And the thing is that you're gonna lose money because it's new. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a new
dude.
strat.
I'm just getting
And so
another
that
beer. I'm still here.
no worries. And so like the other thing is that so then at that point, right? So if it's new and you're still learning it, you're gonna make mistakes. Like, you know, there's that little bit of a learning curve. It's like, well, that sucks. Like, I don't kind of want to learn something new because I know I'm gonna lose money or whatever. But in the long run, yeah, you know, once you learn it and you master it and you'll be profitable from it. But I think for me, like in the short term, like I was kind of the same where I was like, um, well, you know, I'm making money like this. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to lose money. Like, you know, that's not the name of the
Yeah.
game. So I definitely get what you're saying is to maximize where you're at, and then you could go ahead and you know, adding little things. But obviously, you know, that comes with the learning curve and a little bit of tuition money as well. But did you
I also
guys
think. I
share in
also
the
think.
go
Oh,
ahead?
sorry. I was gonna say. I also think people like it is 100% okay to learn multiple strategies, and I think the fact is though people just cannot get over. They cannot get greedy. If you're a terrible long trader and you're used to shorting 5, 10,000 shares, start long trading with 250 shares or 500 shares, and just understand that in the beginning you're just trying to get a feel and an understanding for a new edge, and that you're not going to make a lot of money to start, but slowly over time it will get there.
So part of the reason I started this stockcast or podcast thing on the weekends, I used to just do it to show like a watch list for the week, but like having other
Mm-hmm.
people was like because I encourage, you know, like the people in my room is that they're, you know, just because I'm teaching you my way doesn't mean there's other profitable ways. Like you guys in
Yeah.
MIC, you know, in
Yep.
other rooms, you know, the way that they do it, you know, take what you can from everyone and then make it your own and then incorporate into your own, you know, your own strategy or whatever and do it the way
Yep.
that is conducive for you to be profitable. And I really wanted like a cohesiveness together between the rooms to be able to say like, okay, like I'm going to show you my way and then you show me your way and we'll all be able to be profitable. You know what I mean? Not so much
Yeah.
as like, all right, we make this much money and we're, you know, our dicks are bigger than yours because we make this much more money. Like that's dumb. Like, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
how like a lot of Twitter is. And I
Yep.
was like that. I was like that when I started my room. I was like, no, we're gonna beat all of you guys, and this is stupid, and that like trash talking everyone. And I was like, then I made a bunch of enemies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Bao has me blocked right now, so if you could unblock me, Bao, thank you, bro.
I'll ask him. I'll tell him. I'll let him know.
And it's like it's because we disagreed, like you know what I mean, and we could disagree on a strategy, but
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't mean that it's wrong or it's unprofitable. So but I respect the way that he does it too, like the way that he does his and you know, you can make money that way. But cool. Real quick, guys. Like I was telling James, I'm going to show my screen here real quick, and 1 second. I don't. Where's? One second, guys. Okay, here we go. So this is you guys should be able to see my screen now. So so these are the features that were open a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap down, like I said. We closed at about 251, 252 on Friday, and then we have this little gap here. Limit down is 240, 240.03, I believe. So if we get to 240, that would be limit down. I don't remember what limit up is, but we're just we're having a hard time at this 250 level, which I would expect is going to be pretty good resistance tomorrow as well. Gosh damn it, if the premiums are a little bit cheaper, I will try to, you know, take some puts, you know, for this week. But on Saturday they were freaking expensive, and I just wasn't going to take that type of risk and tie up that much capital, because I wanted it to be a pretty nice swing. But I want it to come back down, and I think you know, everyone is thinking, you know, we're going to come back further. But you know, once we get, you know, the unemployment numbers again this week, which will be on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe, and then we also have we have the first of the month on Friday. So I could imagine, or on Wednesday, I can imagine once we get, you know, some numbers in on like how many people didn't pay their rent and things like that, then we're gonna see some more downside here. And we got, you know, pretty good ways to go. So I would like to see us actually test 200. So I'm not. This sucks trying to be profitable against, you know, everyone else, you know, profiting off the coronavirus stuff. It does feel a certain type of way. I don't like it, but I mean, it's been really nice for my account. But I would like us to actually go down and test 200. There was a couple. I don't know if I have the picture here. Let me get the picture. I think I have it here. It was in my chat. Oh, here it is. I have to bring my whole chat over here. Can you see it? So like this is the Great Depression in 1929, and then this is present right now. So if you look at the percentage that we went dropped, it's almost identical, right? So we have 37 and 39, and then we had this little bounce up. So this bounce right here in the depression area, and then we continued on further. So another 27% within 7 days during that time. And so if you look right here, this has been 3 days on the bounce back up. It's the same amount, 2 days it took for that little bounce, and then continue on lower. So that was something I was looking at for, you know, my thesis into this week, that we will probably go a little bit lower. And there was probably a bunch of overzealous bulls that jumped in here that didn't want to miss the bottom and, you know, going ahead and bouncing up, right? So I'm sure there'll be a lesson that's learned pretty quickly there. But that's what I'm looking at. And then, like I said, I can't. The thing is that everything is so damn expensive. I've been playing Amazon as my trading vehicle for this a lot. Like if you take a look at Amazon, it actually went down when everything was coming down. I traded it really when it came down, but then it started holding because everyone started ordering and buying their stuff from them. And so then we had this bounce here a little bit prematurely than the actual market. So, but this has been great. Like, I mean, $50, $100, intraday moves on Amazon, and I just use it as my trading vehicle according to the market. If it shows relative strength or relative weakness according to the market, then I'll go ahead and leave it alone, which like Netflix has been showing a lot of relative strength, obviously, because everyone is quarantining and chilling. So there's days where they just actually go sideways, though. If I go like a little bit smaller, like this day right here, you can see that it just kind of dropped and chopped around all day, and then it sold off. So Tesla's been a pretty good mover too. There is a lot. So to tell you guys here on the Stockcast, one of the, we're talking about incorporating new strategies. So one of the strategies I'm actually trying to incorporate is sweeps and blocks. So following the flow from sweeps and blocks for the smart and big money, and so there was a lot of actually 600 calls that were being bought on Tesla. So, and it's been showing actually some pretty good strength as well whenever the market is going up too. So I would like to see it get up to 600 too if I keep on with that maybe sometime this week. I have a swing on right now for Zoom. I got Zoom at 135. And so if you scroll out here to right here, so over the long term, this has been, kind of going up, really, really bullish here, really strong. And then I missed this move right here. So I missed this move and I just let it go. I was just watching it and I wanted it to pull back in order for me to be able to get in. And so once it did pull back and we got this support here in this area to the top of this day, and then where it dipped down on this day here, it held. So then this is where I got in about 135, and I've been holding all last week now that everyone has been using Zoom. And I'll see how long. I'll keep rolling it over and taking profits on Zoom for as long as I can, maybe even into earnings, because they're probably going to do really well. So I would like for it to go up. My first profit target is 160 up here where this close was, and then for it to continue. But that's one of the big ones that I'm looking at. Was there any questions or tickers that anyone wants to go over for the week? I don't know where my chat thing went. Oh, there it is. No meetings, no nothing, or no questions. Well, cool guys. Definitely, I've been kind of like the last 2 weeks has been kind of rough with everything going on with the coronavirus and things like that. I've been mentally and emotionally just exhausted. Not even trading the full day, but just trying to keep up with news and everything that's going on. Things in my life with my son to make sure he was taken care of as well for the coronavirus stuff. Yeah, see you later, Jamal. Appreciate you coming. But yeah, so we will be more consistent, going forward. I took a day off last week because it was pretty rough. But was there anything else you want to say, James?
No, just good luck this week, man. I hope everybody watching, families, everything, just do your best, stay safe. I know this sucks right now staying inside and doing it, but take it as a blessing that you can spend as much time with your family and loved ones as you can. So just enjoy it for what it's worth right now.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Like especially if you have family, I think that's taken for granted, right? Like I'm single. I don't have family in my whole state where I live, so that's why I kind of left today. But if you have family, definitely be very grateful you do, and you're surrounded by those people and stuff. So my son lives like 2 hours away, and I can't. I'm having to miss time with him just to make sure he's safe. So
it's tough, man.
But yeah, everyone, definitely hope you have a very very good trading week. Drop your on Twitter, James.
Yeah, yeah, I'll bring that. I will pull that up and I'll drop it on your page and retweet this.
Okay, cool. So then if you guys want to follow us, James questions, I'm sure he will help you out. And I am also always here. You could go to New Age Wall Street. It's ST at the end on Twitter. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know who else you want me to have on the Stockcast. I'll try to get anyone. I ain't afraid to ask anyone. I've gotten some crazy responses when I ask people to come on. It's ridiculous.
I'll help you out. I'll get you some people. I got some friends that would love to come on this.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, and we'll do like how you did. So we had Mike on. Mike was over here rolling blunts. You know, we had a good time, and then I was drinking one day. So you know, if we're in a, you know, I don't care. We could have it really relaxed and have a good time. So.
Oh hell yeah, we'll get a group going, man. I'll reach out to some of my friends and we'll get it going.
There we go. Awesome, guys. You guys take it easy. Have a great rest of your Sunday, right?
Have a good one, brother.
Later.